If you're a Turo host, then chances are you're probably aware of a change that Turo has recently announced that has been rocking the Turo host community. Okay, maybe the term rocking is a bit of an over-exaggeration, but there are definitely some Turo hosts that are really pissed off about this. And that is that starting in March of this year, so in just a few short weeks, Turo is going to require for all hosts and all vehicle listings to have instant booking turned on. Now, if you're not a Turo host, or if you've just begun listing on Turo and you aren't exactly sure what I'm talking about, let me explain. Instant booking is a feature on Turo that allows for a guest to automatically rent a car. When instant booking is turned on, the host does not get the chance to approve or deny that booking. As long as the host car is available and the guest qualifies to rent that car, they can rent it. While on the other hand, when instant booking is turned off, a guest has to send a booking request. And then whenever the host gets that request, they have the opportunity to either approve or deny that request. In the past, some hosts have liked to have instant booking turned off because it gives hosts more control as to who they book to. Some hosts like to Google someone before booking, look at reviews, scope them out a bit, and keeping instant booking turned off allows for a host to do this. On the flip side though, there are some hosts like myself who are big proponents of keeping instant booking turned on, and they've had it on this entire time. And the idea behind having it on is that number one, you'll get more bookings, but number two, it just creates a better experience for the guest. It allows for more flexibility for the guest, and they don't have to worry about finding cars, submitting a request, having that denied. That entire process can be very inconvenient. So having the option of instant booking turned on for a guest to instantly book your car, it's just really convenient. Now, if you've seen my channel before, then you know that I have been saying for a very long time that if you are a Turo host that wants to make as much money as possible, then you should absolutely have instant booking turned on. But obviously now, or as of March, hosts aren't going to have the choice, and Turo is going to automatically turn it on for you. So this of course begs a few questions. What does this change mean for the Turo community? How can you manage your bookings and rentals effectively without instant booking turned on? And if you are somebody who previously used instant booking as a way to stand out from your competition, how can you stand out now that this is something everybody will have? Now, to be honest, I am a fan of this change. Now, I know to regular viewers of this channel, this doesn't come as a surprise because I've always been a proponent of instant booking. But to me, requiring this for all Turo hosts really does a couple of things. Number one is it creates more predictability for guests. Having to request a booking is a pain in the butt, and the ability to make the Turo booking system easier for guests, that's a plus. And number two, it will wean out the not-so-serious host. This may be a controversial take, but I do believe that this change is going to force those one foot in, one foot out style hosts to really make a decision and decide whether they really want to commit to Turo or whether they just want to leave the platform altogether. And to me, this is a good thing. Many casual hosts use Instant Book as a way to keep Turo a casual side hustle, and it's a way to make Turo not impede on things like work, personal events, or just not wanting to prep and get a car ready, which is all fine and well, and depending on your goals with Turo, this is a perfectly great strategy to use. But now that Turo is going to require all hosts to have instant booking turned on, I do believe that there will be a number of hosts that just decide that it's no longer worth it and they'll end up leaving altogether, which again is a good thing for the more serious hosts. Now, the good thing is that even with instant booking turned on, there are a lot of ways that you can really effectively go about managing your Turo availability and Turo calendar. That way you're not having to deal with Turo rentals all day and all night. Now, to give you some perspective, I have a 24/7 available fleet. I also have nearly 30 cars, and I have always had instant booking turned on since I joined Turo back in 2017. Whenever I talk about having 24/7 availability and instant booking turned on, one question that I always get asked is if I have these settings for my vehicles, does that mean that I'm constantly having to be woken up in the middle of the night to accommodate a rental, having to go out at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. to go prep a car for a rental that got booked unexpectedly? Am I getting cars that are going out at 2 or 3 in the morning? And the answer is no. Even with my nearly 30 cars and completely open availability, it is very rare for HP and I to have to go check in or clean a car after dinner time. And this really comes down to effective calendar management. We have 3-hour trip buffer time and 1-hour advance notice. Every night before we go to bed, we block off the calendar of the cars that aren't on bookings, and we block them off until the next morning, typically around 6 or 7 a.m., as I'll be up well before then and we can review any reservations. If we have a car that got returned at night and we haven't had a chance to check that car in or clean it yet, we'll block that car off until about 10 a.m. This will give HP plenty of time to prep that car for the next rental. We also do this exact same thing if we have cars that are getting returned and we know that we're not going to be able to go to the car to clean and prep it. For example, if we're at a party, if we're at a family event, if we're at dinner, and we have a car that's getting returned and we know that we're not going to want to address it until later that day or even the next day, we'll simply utilize a calendar block. With instant booking now being required by Turo, calendar blocks need to be your best friend. But keep in mind that whenever you're utilizing calendar blocks, you don't want to block off time more than you need to or for days at a time if not necessary. Like I mentioned, at night, we'll block off the cars from say 11 p.m. whenever we go to sleep until 6 a.m., which is when I'm awake. If we're out to dinner, we'll simply block it off from 6 p.m. when we're at dinner until maybe 10 p.m. when we know we'll be back at the cars. So you'll only want to block off the times that you know that you can't accommodate. And it's important to keep in mind that oftentimes this is only going to be really applicable to the cars that aren't cleaned and prepped. If you have a car that's at your lot and it's ready to go, you've taken photos, it's cleaned, it's been sanitized, there's no reason to block off that car if you're going to a party or you're going out to eat because you can accommodate rentals via remote key exchanges. But you might want to block off that car in the middle of the night whenever you're going to sleep. That way a rental won't come through overnight that you won't be able to verify and then the car will be picked up. That'll create this whole mess. So you will want to make sure to use your calendar blocks differently depending whether or not the car has been cleaned, whether photos have been taken, and whether it's ready to go. Now, I know that this sounds like a lot, and this is a secondary question that I get asked often. If you're constantly going in there blocking off the calendar for all of your cars, doesn't that take a long time? And that's another one that the answer is no. My husband HP has a Google phone and I have an iPhone, and admittedly it is faster to do this on an iPhone than an Android, but to block off a handful of cars takes less than 2 minutes. Because a lot of times whenever you're going through and you're blocking off cars, you'll have a bunch of cars that are on rentals, so they won't need to be touched, and you'll have another few cars that are already prepped and ready to go, so chances are they may not need to be touched either. Of course, depending on the situation. So there's never really going to be a scenario where I would ever have to block off all 30 of my cars. And even if it did, it probably would only take 10 or 15 minutes. Utilizing calendar blocks in this way can definitely feel daunting at first, but I do think that if you give this a try and you kind of exercise doing it every single day, it'll become very, very easy and it'll eventually become second nature. In fact, I encourage you to try this for just 1 month, and I'm willing to bet that not only will you find the process of blocking off cars via the calendar to be easier, but I'm also willing to bet that your life will become easier as well, and you'll make more money on Turo because you'll be more efficient with the way that you use your fleet. The one thing that you will want to make sure to play around with is your advanced notice settings for delivery. Delivery is where instant booking actually made a lot of sense. And I could see how some hosts would be worried how there could be potential inconveniences now that advance notice isn't an option even for deliveries. In fact, I do wish that Turo would implement some sort of middle ground for delivery specifically. Maybe not instant booking for the trip, but maybe instead for the location of the delivery or the time. I don't know, but I can definitely see the issue here. But my advice to hosts that do offer delivery and didn't have advance notice on prior to this is to play around with your advance notice settings and your delivery preferences. You may find that there are some types of deliveries that are simply no longer worth doing. Or you may find that certain advance notice settings or delivery preferences make deliveries easier with advance notice turned on. There certainly isn't a one-size-fits-all solution here, and you will need to play around with it to see what works best for you. But now is of course the question of how can some hosts now differentiate themselves now that instant booking is something everybody will have. Up until this point, instant booking was not only a way for you to make more money, but it was also a way for hosts to stand out amongst other hosts. And now that instant booking is standard, obviously the differentiator here goes away. So now the question is, how do you stand out? Well, this is wherever you pay attention to a few other factors. Number 1 is price. Make sure that your price is competitive. Number 2 is 24/7 availability. Accommodating late night or early morning bookings is a game changer, and this will help you stand out across other hosts. Make sure to use your calendar blocks to manage your bookings so you're not inconvenient. Number 3 is 1 hour advance notice. We have a ton of bookings that get booked out with 1 hour advance notice. And number 4, good pictures. I cannot tell you how many Turo listings I look at whenever the photos are extremely bad. They're just not well cropped, they're not well lit, they're taking in a garage or in a parking lot. They aren't well thought out at all. And if you are a Turo host that wants to stand out, getting good photos can be a great way to do it. You don't need to hire a professional photographer, but just be thoughtful with the photos that you take and make sure that they're cropped well within the Turo website and the Turo app. At the end of the day, I do strongly believe that this change is a good thing for the Turo community. For those of you that already had this, there will still be plenty of ways to stand out. And for those of you who didn't, there are also ways to adapt. But I do think that this creates a better experience for guests, and I also think that it weeds out some of the more casual, less serious hosts. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.